All right, good afternoon, sir, and everyone. How are you today? I hope all of you still in a good condition. So today I would like to tell you about my research background and also literature review for my quantitative research. But before that, let me introduce myself first. My name is Putu Widia Antari Dewi with the student ID 201202146. I'm from 4B class in the present list number 15. So, before we start to talk about my research background, I would like to tell you about the topic that I choose is about homeschooling method for secondary level students. So now we will start from the research background first. So in here, I already provide you the definition of homeschooling. So homeschooling is a progressive movement around the country and the world in which parents educate their children at home instead of sending them to a traditional public or private school. So that's the definition of the homeschooling method. So next is the homeschooling movement began growing in the 1970s when some popular authors and research such as John Holt, Dorothy and also Raymond Moore started writing about educational reform, and they suggest that homeschooling as an alternative educational option. So from that writing, uh, finally the homeschooling movement began growing in that era. So, as we know that homeschooling is legal in all 50 states and in many foreign countries, and through the literature review, through the scholars' articles, interview, and a survey, research reveals that homeschooling will continue to be on the rise. That's why homeschool children tend to score higher or similar compared to regular children attending to the public schools. And children become more responsible for themselves and also have control of their education when they are doing a homeschooling method for themselves. And homeschooling is an alternative to education for children who do not adjust well. So that's about the homeschooling. And homeschooling also offers some great advantages when it comes to scheduling, such as less rushing in the morning when the parents set up kids for the less stress overall in their day, and also longer sleep are important for the children mental and also physical well-being, as well as better focus and also work of their day all of along the day of their life. So that's a really great advantages for the children itself when they are doing the homeschooling method for themselves. And next is about the problem identification. So as we know that our knowledge of homeschooling effect on academic achievement is limited. So uh, by the fact and also many studies that have been conducted of homeschooling suffer from methodological problems which make their findings inconclusive. So my research tries to investigate at the possible effect of homeschooling method, especially for the students' achievement. So that's my problem identification. Next, about the problem limitation. So as I said before, this study wants to see the effect of homeschooling method on students' achievement. And the researcher hope that this study will be relevant to the research objective and also will be conducted with senior high school students as a sample. As I said before, that it is secondary level students. So next is about the research problem. So this study will answer two problems. The first one is what is the effect of homeschooling method of the students' achievement? And the second is there any correlation between the homeschooling method with the students' achievement? So, and next one is about the research objective. So, the first is to investigate the effect of homeschooling method on student achievement, and the second is to study the correlation between the homeschooling method with the students' achievement. So, that's the research objective. Next is the significance of the research. So, here's I provide you some key areas for the future research, including the homeschooling enrollment in college, homeschooling retention over the time, and careers chosen by those who were homeschooling. And some of this topic maybe will be difficult to study, but I will try to make this research for the future research. I also provide you the key areas in here. And next is the reference. So as you can see on the screen, this is the reference that I used to make my research about homeschooling method. You can search this reference on the internet to make you more understand about the homeschooling method. So that's all about the research background. We will move to the literature review. So in here I use two review, that is theoretical review and empirical review. In theoretical review I use the theory that I used about related to the homeschooling method. So homeschooling method is a model of alternative education other than school, and also education this homeschooling is educational model in which a family choose to be responsible on their children and educate their children by using home as the basic of the education. And one of the homeschooling general understanding is model education of a family choose to be responsible for their children's education and educate. It's according to the Grief in 2006, and parents do not hand over responsibility for education children to teachers and also the school system. And homeschooling also is responsible active in the education process of their children. So next is about the implementation of homeschooling in Indonesia. So there are several implementation of homeschooling, such as implementation of learning activities done by parents at home. The second is implementation of learning activities done by parents or tutors at home and in the community. The third is implementation of activities using mixed system. And last is implementation of learning activities join a center of for community learning active, or we can say PKBM. So that's the community. Next is homeschooling and development child. So as Arif Rahman said that the thing to be important point of concern of homeschooling is a strategy to avoid concern that students who follow this educational method will be alienated from the social environment so that the potential social intelligence does not appear. That's related or based on the Arif Rahman statement. Next is about homeschooling method in pandemic situation. So as we know, in the global COVID-19 pandemics, the new interest in homeschooling and also the appeal of alternative school arrangement has suddenly exploded. So that's make homeschooling is a legal instruction option in all 50 states, and also national homeschooling rates grew rapidly. Next is about the conclusion. So, homeschooling in modern sense is an alternative formal education in contrast process. So, homeschooling practice moving school from common areas to more a private area namely to house. Next is empirical review. So, in here, we're using a large national representative sample of US and also household. The survey shows that homeschooling is notably higher than the national benchmarks. So in here also I provide you some reference that you can see in the internet about my research about homeschooling method, theoretical and also empirical review. Here's the reference that you can see in the internet. Alright, so that's all about the research background and also literature review that I already make for my research about homeschooling method. Thank you for your attention and see you next time.